The long-awaited biographical epic about the life and legacy of Michael Jackson is a cinematic event built around one of the most influential entertainers in human history. With a massive production budget, a worldwide IMAX rollout, and a fanbase that spans continents and generations, Michael is shaping up to be one of the most fascinating box office performances of the decade. Its box office is quite unpredictable at this stage, but based on the hype for the film and the far-reaching influence of Jackson, I think the bigger question is not whether it will succeed, but how high can its total actually go. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the film's box office potential, how it stacks up against past musical biopics, what early industry expectations look like, and why I think there's a chance that the film could even go closer to the $2 billion mark. Before I get into it though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my content surrounding Michael, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into the potential box office of Michael. So when you look at the 2026 release calendar, there are a handful of films that feel like genuine global events, movies that transcend the usual blockbuster hype and tap into something cultural, generational, and universal. Lionsgate's upcoming biographical epic about the life and legacy of Michael Jackson is absolutely one of those films. Scheduled for a wide domestic release on April 24th, the film arrives with a substantial $155 million production budget, a PG-13 rating, and a global IMAX push. That alone signals a lot of confidence. But of course, the aspect that makes me and many others think that this film is going to blow the doors off the box office is the scale of Michael Jackson's enduring popularity and how that might translate into a worldwide theatrical phenomenon. Right now, there's no official box office tracking available for Michael, especially this far out from release, but we can contextualize its potential by looking at the broader theatrical landscape. The domestic box office in 2025 totaled around $8.6 billion, still 20 to 25% below the late 2010s peak. The industry is hungry for reliable, four-quadrant hits, films that appeal across age, gender, and geography. And biopics rarely fill that role, but Michael is not a typical biopic. It's a film about one of the most globally recognized entertainers in history, a figure whose music, image, and mythology have remained culturally dominant for over 5 decades. That gives Michael a unique advantage, as it's not just selling a story, it's selling nostalgia, curiosity, controversy, and the chance to see the King of Pop's life rendered on the biggest canvas possible. To understand the film's potential though, it's worth comparing it to other musical biopics. Bohemian Rhapsody is the most obvious benchmark, as that film shocked the industry by grossing over $900 million worldwide, becoming the highest grossing musical biopic ever. It succeeded because Queen's music is timeless, Freddie Mercury's persona is iconic, and the film appealed to both older fans and younger audiences discovering the band for the first time. Elvis also performed quite strongly, nearly making $300 million worldwide despite releasing during a still recovering theatrical market. And meanwhile, Rocketman and Straight Outta Compton made around $200 million. While these numbers show that a legendary musician with cross-generational appeal can perform at the global box office, it has to be noted that Michael Jackson is in a category of his own. His music remains omnipresent, with streaming numbers massive and his influence on dance, fashion, and pop culture being unmatched. Even decades after his passing, Jackson remains one of the most recognizable figures on the planet. That level of cultural saturation is something that studios dream of when greenlighting a biopic film. And unlike many musical legends, Jackson's story spans multiple eras, aesthetics, and emotional tones, from the Motown years all the way up to the Thriller era, Bad, and to the later controversies. That gives the film a built-in narrative dynamism that seems to be attracting audiences beyond just the core fanbase. On top of this, the film's release strategy further positions it for maximum impact. Lionsgate is giving Michael a wide domestic release and a simultaneous IMAX rollout, which is typically unusual for a biographical drama. It suggests that the studio sees this as a large-scale cinematic experience, not just a prestige-only awards play film. The film is also hitting some international markets earlier, and this is crucial because Michael Jackson's global appeal is arguably even stronger outside of the US. His fanbase in Europe, Asia, South America, and Africa is enormous, and his music has historically performed exceptionally well in non-English speaking territories. So with all that said, it's now time to address the big question. Will Michael hit $1 billion at the box office, or can it even surpass what many are predicting and get closer to the $2 billion range? Well, on paper, $2 billion does sound crazy. Only a handful of films in history have crossed that threshold, and they were all massive franchise tentpoles, with 2 Avatar films, Avengers Endgame, Titanic, and Star Wars The Force Awakens. But the argument isn't that Michael is guaranteed to hit that number, it's that the potential exists under the right circumstances. And that potential comes from several factors unique to Michael Jackson. First, the global fanbase is enormous and deeply emotionally invested. Jackson's fanbase is very passionate, organised, and eager to support projects that honour his legacy. If the film is well received and perceived as respectful, it could ignite a worldwide movement similar to what we saw with Bohemian Rhapsody, but on a much larger scale. Second, the film's IMAX rollout means premium format revenue will be significant. Higher ticket prices can dramatically inflate global totals, especially in markets like China. Third, the film's PG-13 rating ensures accessibility with families, teens, and older audiences. And fourth, and perhaps most importantly, Michael Jackson's story is inherently cinematic. His life was filled with spectacle, triumph, tragedy, and reinvention. The trailers have really tried to capture that, and if the film has a fraction of that emotional and visual power, then I think it will become a must-see cultural event. And it's these cultural events that can drive repeat viewings. Bohemian Rhapsody didn't make $900 million because everyone saw it once, it made that money because fans went back multiple times, often bringing friends or family. Jackson's fanbase is even more likely to engage in repeat viewing, especially if the film includes iconic performances recreated with modern filmmaking technology. Of course, there are challenges, as the film must navigate the controversies surrounding Jackson's later years with sensitivity and balance. It must appeal to both longtime fans and the general audience, and it must deliver a compelling narrative that feels emotionally authentic. But if it succeeds and if it threads that needle, then the upside will be enormous. And not to mention that because the movie is reportedly being split into 2 parts, the first part isn't rumoured to focus on too much of the controversy from beyond the bad era. So coming to my prediction, I think my moderate and more realistic prediction is around $900 million to $1.2 billion at the global box office. This of course depends on reviews, marketing, and word of mouth. But again, there are very few non-franchise films with genuine billion-dollar potential, and I think Michael is one of them. The combination of global appeal, musical nostalgia, theatrical scale, and cultural curiosity makes it a wildcard with massive upside. And for my more optimistic prediction, I'm actually going to say that Michael does have a chance of reaching that $2 billion mark. For me, Michael represents a rare moment where cinema, music history, and global fandom intersect. It's a film that could become a classic in the biopic genre, energize the box office, and remind audiences why theatrical experiences still matter. And with the popularity that Michael has, I don't think it's wild to say that it could reach those numbers. If the film does deliver on a quality level, then I think the box office could reflect that on a massive scale. But that was my video discussing the potential box office of the upcoming Michael movie. It's rare for a biographical film to carry this much weight, but Michael Jackson wasn't just a musician, he was a worldwide phenomenon whose influence still pulses through modern music, dance, and pop culture. If the film delivers emotionally, visually, and musically, then I think it has the potential to become more than a hit, and I think it could become a generational event. Whether it ultimately lands just below $1 billion, crosses the $1 billion threshold, or even pushes into the conversation of all-time global earners, one thing is for certain, and that is that the world will show up. Michael Jackson has remained as one of the most popular figures for decades, and I see that being reflected in the film's box office performance. If it's a great film that can keep people talking, then I think it can cross the highest milestones. We'll have to see, but based on what we've seen in all the marketing and trailers, it sure does look like we are getting the definitive Michael Jackson adaptation. But let me know down below what you think the movie might make at the global box office, and whether you think it does have a chance of getting closer to that $2 billion mark. For much more videos and breakdowns, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.